Hello, Birna.
Hello.
Nice to have you here today.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
In 1972, Birna's family traveled from Iceland to the United States. At the time, Birna was 4 years old. Today, we're going to be talking about your Icelandic culture. And again, we just want to thank you for taking the time to speak with us. So my first question is, how do people typically greet each other in Iceland?
In Icelandic, when you see someone, you say, "Hi, hvað segirðu?" And then the other person will say, "Bara gott, takk, og þú?" And it means, "Hi, what do you say?" And then the other person will say, "Bara gott," which means just good, or "Allt fínt," which is everything's great, or "Allt ágætt." And then you exchange those pleasantries and then continue with your conversation.
So they say, what do you say is kind of maybe the difference.
Yeah, you can also say "Hvernig gengur," which is literally translated to "How's it going?"
Oh, okay.
But "What do you say?" is more typical.
Okay. So in the United States, we tend to say "What's up," right? So I guess it's a little different.
Yes.
How would you look someone up in the phone book in Iceland?
By first name.
Okay.
Yes, and this is because we do not have last names. We don't have family names. We use patronyms.
Interesting. So you would. What if there's other people named Birna? How would you differentiate if you had a phone book listing with a lot of?
You
Birnas?
have your address on there and also your career, your profession.
Oh, so your career's in the phone book. I see. So that's how you would distinguish. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Why is that? Why do they not use a last name?
Well, because it's like my name is Birna Sigurbjörnsdóttir, which means Birna Sigurbjörnsdóttir, which means I'm the daughter of Sigurbjörn. Sigurbjörn is my father's name.
Okay.
So, like when you introduce yourself to someone, you say, "Hi, I'm Birna," and then the other person will say, "And whose daughter are you?" And then you'll say, Sigurbjörnsdóttir.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then for son, is it different?
Son.
Son. Okay.
That's where the names Johnson, Smithson, Davidson, all of those names come from the Scandinavian heritage.
Okay. What about traditions? You know, from childhood. So, could you just explain like some traditions that you maybe had with your grandmother or your mother or you know, what did you normally? What did you guys normally do?
The biggest tradition was food. My grandmother would cook traditional Icelandic foods for us and would often bring foods with her too and also send them to us. So at Christmas time we would have hangakjöt, which is smoked lamb, and leg of lamb also. And my grandmother would always bring Icelandic candies, and licorice is really, really big there. The good black, salty stuff.
Yeah.
And dried fish too. I always have a bag of it in my drawer.
Yeah. So that was my next question. So do you maintain any of these traditions in your adulthood?
Yes. Yeah. I whenever I know someone who's going to Iceland, they'll bring me back food, or I bring as much as I can back with me, and then I dole it out so it lasts until I go back the next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another one with my grandmother was knitting, because she was an avid knitter, and she knit as part of her income. She would knit traditional Icelandic sweaters for tourists, and also always kept us in them. And she taught me to knit when I was 5, so I still knit, and it makes me think of her and makes me feel closer to it.
What religious beliefs are widely held in Iceland?
Icelanders are, I think, like 90% Lutheran, or more than that. I think it's
Really?
like 95% or 97%, because there's 2% Catholic, 5% pagan. Pagan religion is still alive and well in Iceland.
Well, in our research, we had found out that there was like some traditional beliefs in elves. Is that referring to the 5% pagan, or is that carryover?
That just is.
So that is okay.
Yeah.
So how does that interact with the other religions?
It's not. It's not. Icelanders are not religious, as in they don't have. They might go to church on Sunday. They get married in the church. Children are confirmed at the age of 13, but you don't have like the guilt of Catholicism, or you don't. It doesn't bleed over into the rest of your life, and it's not all powering, I guess. And the belief in elves, it just is. They're there. They always have been. So that's the way it is.
So it's just a common belief. I mean, and everybody has that.
It is.
Interesting.
It's kind of like, I think the best way to describe it is you don't need to believe in this couch to know that it's here.
Right.
It's here.
Right. Okay.
So
it's just that common for everybody.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there are places like where my father lived in Seltjarnes, there's one lot that's not built on, because when they tried to go in and remove the rocks and try and develop the earth, things kept happening, machines kept breaking down.
Really?
So eventually they just left it because it was an elf home.
That's fascinating.
And there's a road called Elf Castle Road, and there was a huge rock that they tried everything to move it, and it was right in the path of the road when they were beginning to build the road, and they couldn't move the rock. Things just kept happening to the machines, so they eventually just left the rock, and now the road goes like this.
That's really
And it's called Elf Castle Road.
That's fascinating. You've been in the U.S. now for quite some time. Do you identify yourself as Icelandic or as American?
I identify myself as an Icelander who grew up in America.
Okay. Well, how are you seen in Iceland? What's your identity in Iceland?
Well, actually, so in Iceland, I'm considered an Icelander who grew up outside of the or outside of Iceland. My cousin, I have a younger cousin who was named after me, and when she was little, when she was shorter than me, we were known as, I was Birna Stora and she was Birna Litla, Big Birna and Little Birna. And then when she got taller than me, they switched the names to Birna Islandska and Birna Utlandska, which means Icelandic Birna and foreign Birna. So, as in Utlandsk is outland.
So, do you notice a change in yourself when you're in Iceland versus when you're in the United States in terms of your identity?
Yes. Yes. Well, yes, definitely.
Okay.
When I'm in Iceland, I'm also surrounded by my own people.
Sure.
I think so.
Sure.
I feel more one of many, and in the United States, except when I'm attending an Icelandic celebration or such, then I am alone.
Right. I wanted you to just compare your familial, the familial roles in Iceland versus like the typical American family, if there is a difference there. Could you describe it?
Well, one thing that really stands out about Icelanders is that they are very, very supportive within the family. Like when someone, a really good example is that when a girl gets pregnant, it's assumed that she'll have the baby, even if she's young and usually unmarried, because most first children are born out of wedlock. Marriage is just an afterthought. Like first you have a couple of kids, you build a house, and then you get married.
Interesting.
Yeah. In my family, all of the wedding photos have a child in it.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it's not a big deal.
Right.
You get married if you want to.
Right.
But so if a girl has a baby, then the family just comes in and takes care of the baby, so she'll go to school, the baby moves from house to house, and both parents, even if she and the father are not together, the father still will have partial custody, or his parents will step in and take care of the child, so the children just grow up in an absolute envelopment of warmth and love. It's really, really amazing, and that's why when I have children, I want them to grow up in Iceland.
So there's definitely a difference than the way we are here. We do things a little differently.
And it's I think, like so many women, when they say how hard it is to have a child, I say you have to have that support around you. You can't do it on your own.
Right.
And in Iceland, that's just a very cultural norm. You don't do it on your own. You never would.
Right.